What if your strongest, most adventurous years aren't behind you, but still ahead of you? So many women enter midlife believing they need to scale back their goals, slow down, or accept that aging means doing less. But what if this chapter of life could actually be an opportunity to dream bigger, challenge yourself in new ways, and discover just how capable you really are? Today, we're joined by endurance athlete, world-class coach, guide, Rebuild Retreat co-founder, Jen Segger. Jen has spent more than 2 decades helping people achieve things they once thought were impossible, and she's especially passionate about helping women work through their challenging physiology, not against it, as they pursue meaningful goals and adventures in midlife. Whether you're training for a race, dreaming about hiking a mountain, or simply wondering what's still possible in this next chapter of life, this conversation is for you. Welcome to the Art of Living Well podcast. We're Marnie and Stephanie, and each week we share grounded, practical tools to help you feel strong, steady, and energized in midlife and beyond. Jen, welcome to the Art of Living Well podcast. We are both so excited to have you on our show today. And Marnie and I met you when we climbed 29029 in Mont Tremblant. And then we recently did your first Rebuild retreat with Emily Wise, who was also a guest on our podcast a few years back. And we were on Vancouver Island, where you live. And honestly, until that retreat, we had no idea how famous you were because you are just so humble. So thank you. We're really excited for you to be here today.
Oh, you're too kind. But hey, this is wonderful. I'm so glad we have a chance to reconnect after our fantastic week together. So looking forward to this, and thanks for having me.
Well, you're welcome. So you've been a high performance athlete for several decades now. Take us back. Was there a defining moment when you realized that endurance sports and coaching were going to really shape your entire philosophy on life and what you pursued as a career?
Yeah, there was. I was back in high school. I was playing field hockey and at a very high level, trying out for the Canadian Olympic team and sort of going down that path of team sport. But my body was taking a beating. My knees were just sort of done. And it was one of those first big pivotal moments in my life where, I had to make a big decision. And something in my gut just said, I just don't think this is for you for one reason or another. And so I chose a university that didn't have field hockey. And I sort of got into this world of adventure and outdoor sport. And, I started hiking and kayaking and doing things like that on the weekend. And as I was coming into my final year of graduation, I actually chose a university overseas. I went to Australia. And in the final few weeks before graduation, I was sitting in my dorm room one night, and on the screen, I saw this show called Eco Challenge. And I looked at this, and it was the sport of adventure racing. And I saw this team. They were doing this 800-kilometer course. Team was made up of 3 men, 1 female. And I saw it, and I was so inspired by the female racer that I saw on this one particular team. And I thought, that's it. Like, that is what I want to do. I'm going to move home. Once I'm done from Australia, I'm going to move to the big mountains of Whistler, and I'm going to learn how to be an adventure racer. And that's exactly what I did. I returned from being abroad for, a year and a half. I was home for, I think, 10 days. And I moved myself to Whistler, started working 3 jobs. And I was like, I'm going to learn the sport of adventure racing. So that's mountain biking, trail running, navigating, paddling, and anywhere from 1 day to 10 days nonstop. And I want to become like one of the best racers in the world. And that's what took me down that path.
Wow.
I love that story.
Yeah. And what a pivot from hockey.
It was. And what was interesting though, is it still offered me the team side of things. So now I was racing with 3 men and, and myself and females. And it's a very niche sport, right? It's not big. I mean, it is growing in popularity, and people might've seen some different shows on TV. World's Toughest Race, Eco Challenge Fiji was back in 2019, but it's very underground. Not many people know about it, but I quickly realized that racing in this team atmosphere still gave me everything that I wanted, like working together. You're only as fast as your slowest person, everything. Like you have to give everything. Your teammates have to give everything. And that is ultimately what moves the team forward. So it still offered that. And it offered the challenge, the athletics, the being outside. It had the whole package.
So cool. I think I shared this with you on the retreat, but I really knew nothing about adventure racing until I saw that movie with the dog. It's like King Arthur or something, which I kind of want to watch again now that I know you're part of adventure racing to see it again. But knowing that you're like a world-class adventure racer, what was the biggest, or what is the biggest or most difficult event that you have participated in or done?
That's a really tough question to answer, because each place that I have adventured has brought some kind of maybe even unforeseen challenge with it. I mean, it's part of the sport. You enter in, here you are in a location, it's some little nook and cranny of the world. Like you fly into a big city, whether that's say Rio down in Brazil or, Punta Arenas or like wherever you sort of fly into, but then you are adventuring way out into where no tourists go. That's the appeal to it. But with that, you think you're ready, you're fit, you're strong, you're coming in without injury, whatnot, but anything can go wrong. And this is why we race for so many days. And you always race hard to the end because you don't know what that challenge is going to be, like what's going to come up along the way. Do you ever ace the race with just this perfect output for days? I don't think so. So different things make things hard, whether that could be we've lost one of our maps. Sometimes we're working with 20 to 30 different topo maps throughout a race. We've lost our maps. We've had no way of knowing where to go and how to get to the next checkpoint. We've had teammates who are sick, who we've had to drag through like 50-degree-Celsius heat and just to get them, through it and get to the nighttime where they can maybe cool off a little bit. Encountered crazy animals out there, right? We've come face to face with grizzly bears. And so every race, whether, or it's just bad weather, right? Like days and days of rain and mud and you never warm up and you're dealing with the element. There's always something. So, we always love to use the analogy, like adventure racing really prepares you for life because what we learn in that sport is how we live our life, right? We don't know what's around the next corner, the next week, tomorrow. So they parallel each other perfectly.
So I would guess you're really good at going with the flow.
I've learned to be. I do like structure for sure, but I know when we get onto a race course, and that begins right from leaving your house. Trying to get 4 people with all their gear, so like bikes and bins of gear, to some foreign country, remote. That's a challenge in itself. And you just don't know what's going to happen. You plan, people show up without bikes, you borrow other people's things. You can only plan so much. And then you have to just leave it to the fact of, I know I have a tool set in my box of problem solving. Okay. And then you just don't let little things stress you out. You're like, we'll find a solution. And that's what I tell to my athletes too. I'm like, hey, when you're out on your race and you're riding that roller coaster of highs and lows, it's like, there's always a solution to whatever problem. If that's that your stomach's turned bad or, your shoelace broke or whatever it is, we can find a solution. That's the adventure racing mindset.
Well, you are the person that I want with me going out into the wild or on any sort of adventure, because I noticed this when we were on your retreat. It's like you're a Boy Scout to the nth degree, you are prepared for everything and you can navigate. And there were just all these life skills that I feel like I never really learned that you have through all this. And I love how you're comparing your adventure racing to life and just the ups and downs of life and being you're very resourceful, right?
Well, I think getting, I started when I was in my low 20s in adventure racing, and here I am almost 46. So it's been a long career. It's just like anything, when you have a passion for it, you're building those skills over time. So I think, for me, being in the outdoors is my happy place. It is where I'm very comfortable. But of course, I've got the areas of my life where no skill set. Don't ask me to do a drawing for you or anything artsy. I still draw like I did in grade 2, right? So it's just where you put your time and your energy.
Yeah. So what keeps you motivated after all these years?
I'm still always looking for that next personal challenge. I don't really believe that we have a ceiling on ourselves. Life looks different, of course, as we move through the years, as we grow as people, as our interests change. But I feel there's still more to expand upon. And that doesn't have to necessarily always be in an athletic sense. It's that I'm still looking to challenge myself and to learn and to keep things interesting. I don't like the feeling of being stagnant. And I'd go on through little waves sometimes of that, and I'll sit down with my partner and I said to him, I just don't feel like I'm learning right now. And of course we always are, we're always growing, but just something I'm I need to learn just some kind of new skill set. So that's when I usually start
making coffee
outside the box.
Yeah.
I start making coffee. But exactly, we know nothing yet. We had the roaster going last night. We made some bags and we're starting to dial in that process, right? But that's exactly it. I think that's what sort of led me to working on my private pilot's license as well. It was this is something, it's big, it's scary. I actually don't know how this world is going to unfold. It's been a long process, but I'm learning so much more than just the skill set of flying. I'm learning a lot about myself, about overcoming fear, about being very uncomfortable, managing stress. There's so much to it. So I encourage that in everybody to just keep expanding.
That's so inspiring. And I think a lot of women in midlife specifically feel like it's time to slow down or dial it back, or I'm not capable of this or I'm not capable of that. And I know Stephanie and I both relate to so much of what you're saying, because we both love to continually learn and stretch ourselves and educate and just learn for that, go for that next challenge, whether it's mental, physical, educational, whatever it may be. But what would you say to the narrative of the woman in midlife who feels like half her life is over and she's kind of not able to do the kinds of things we're talking about right now?
Totally. And I think that's very common, right, Marnie? We hear that I don't have time. I just feel like I can't. I usually say, let's start with something small. It can get very overwhelming when you maybe look at your friend or, someone else in a different phase of life who's, they've got all the hours in the world to be out training and they're setting this big endurance goal or whatever. But it's like, start with something small, carving out a little bit of time for yourself, right? And I've yet to see somebody who doesn't carve out that little window for themselves, come back to their family, come back to their to-do list, to their job, whatever, more focused and a better version of themselves, right? We don't have to have hours, but maybe we can give ourselves that 20, 30 minutes as a starting point. And it doesn't have to be an athletic thing. Maybe it's just finding just daily movement in some way, getting out for that walk, right? But starting small and then just seeing where it takes you. So I think that's the advice I'd give.
I mean, that's such good advice. And you do need to start small. And it's, when you listen to someone like you doing all these crazy things, you're like, well, that could never be me. But let's put it in the context, like frame it into the context of your life, where you're at with family and time commitment and all that. And the other thing too is, and I think Marnie and I both have gone through this since doing 29-0-29, is a lot of women don't necessarily consider themselves athletes. And they will say, well, I wasn't athletic growing up, or I'm not into sport, or that sort of thing. And I think what we've both learned is like, I never knew hiking was a sport. I never knew that these challenges that you're doing was a sport necessarily, right? So it's like redefining what that means and what that looks like for you. So what advice would you give to someone who wants to set a meaningful goal? And maybe it's a little beyond, like you mentioned, just getting your movement in every day. What does that look like? And, you are a coach too. We know you coach a lot of people, and maybe you can talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I think the goal that you set needs to be your goal. It can't be that of one that you feel pressured to set, or just because your friends or your peers are doing it. It has to be of interest to you. Maybe it's not a huge interest to start, and maybe you grow with that goal. But if it's not something you enjoy putting your energy towards, the outcome's probably not going to be successful, right? So I could see that with some athletes that I coach. They could be like, I want to run 100 miles. Okay, wonderful. But they don't actually enjoy the day-to-day preparation of it. They love the thought of the finish line, getting the belt buckle, like how great it's going to be to say I ran 100 miles, right? But the day-to-day process of preparing for that, getting your body ready and, learning the fueling they'd rather be doing other things, right? And so I think it's just recognizing, how do you want to spend your time? What's realistic? Also being realistic that where you're at today might look different a year from now. I even know for myself where, I'm very busy mom at this point, and that's my priority. Is I don't love missing my kids, hockey games and basketball games and things like that. So I choose a schedule and I set goals at certain times of the year based on where I know I can get my training in and not have to miss out on certain things, right? I also choose right now not to have a heavy race calendar in the summer, because I love my summers, where my kid still wants to hang out with me and do fun stuff, right? So me trying to get out for huge hours all the time is really challenging. So I think it's just recognizing where you're at and what does the next, short term, couple months or year or several years look like, and how can you maybe just start to work towards something in a way that feels aligned and isn't like pushing against a wall all the time.
Yeah. I mean, that's such good advice. And Marnie and I have talked a lot about just even planning your year. It gets into being like intentional with your time and how do you structure it. And like you said, looking at a course of a year versus just saying, no, I can't do it, or I don't have time, and weave in what you want to be doing within your other responsibilities and other things that you have going on in your life. So,
and I struggle with that personally. Like there's so many things I want to do in the course of a year that it's like time and money are really the limiting factors, right? Like there's only so much I can pack in, but it's not for a lack of desire.
Marnie, do you write your goals out? Like, do you put them on a calendar and see what could take place this year? What time-wise, financially makes sense? What could maybe be shifted to the following year? Like, how do you organize your thought?
Well, I have over there this little 2026 board, and it literally has like different categories of the things I want to accomplish for the year, like personal challenges and travel and relationships, and it just has all these different things. And then I also have the little big ass calendar, which I only put fun travel adventures / challenges and my kids' birthdays on there, nothing else. So that's what that's for. So I can kind of see in the course of a year that way. But there's not a lack of things out there that appeal to me. And that's where I struggle. It's like, how do you decide what things you want to do?
Totally. It's like the more we grow, the more we get inspired, the even more we get inspired, right? And who you meet, and exactly, you just start sort of having this octopus effect of like, oh, all these little things. And I think that's a great problem to have. I mean, how lucky are we that we can choose all these different avenues to explore. I think it's just realizing it doesn't always have to happen in this 1 year.
Right. And then it's like, I also, like you, I want to be home, just doing my day to day with my own family and friends and work and life too. So I don't want to just be constantly traveling either. So it's like trying to balance all of that is a struggle for me sometimes because I want to do it all.
Totally. I think it's a great problem to have,
yes.
Right? And you just pick a few things. And I also find too, my list, I do a lot of like adding to it and then also taking things off as I'm like, well, actually, you know what? Maybe my interests have changed. Maybe that particular thing doesn't really appeal to me anymore. So sometimes just sitting with things for a while kind of helps sort of, sift through those goals.
You know that feeling when summer is flying by and you're just not feeling your best, a little bloated, maybe tired, not quite yourself. That's honestly what the Do It Anytime Vitality Reboot is for. It's a 7-day functional medicine detox, no extreme restrictions, no complicated protocols, and Stephanie and I are with you every single step of the way. Summer is the perfect time to hit reset. Check the link in our show notes and let's do this together.
And I think too, especially for like midlife women and moms, trying to integrate a couple goals together. Like if you want to spend more time with your family, is there an activity you could do with your family that, brings them on board? So then you don't feel like you're taking time away from being with family or your kids or whatever. So I don't know. That's not always feasible, but I think that's helpful, or doing it with someone that you're close with. And so I'm not sacrificing friend time because I'm doing this activity. Like Marnie, I know you and your friend run all the time, so then it's like doing it with them. So it's like getting creative too about how you can prioritize these things to have a bigger goal each year.
Yeah, no, I think that's true. And, I know within our family, we try to think, okay, everybody has a lot of common interests, but some of them are different. So we think, okay, well, if we're sort of doing one of dad's sort of activities, great. We all do it. We do it with a great attitude. And then the next, our son sort of gets to pick. Here's what we know he really enjoys to do. And so we all get on board with that, right? Mm-hmm. And then whatever it is that I sort of like to spend my time doing. So I think we're sort of at that point too. Everybody's got to give and take in a family a little bit, right?
Absolutely. So are you a female specific coach, or do you coach anybody? I wasn't sure about that.
Yeah, I coach everybody. Yeah, I work with a lot of, I do. Yeah. And of all levels, right? I have from the top endurance athletes in various sports. I get that right down to the person who's just starting. And I find it fascinating. It's kept my work very interesting for me over the years because everything is so personalized to each person that it always keeps me on my toes. It keeps me learning. It keeps me trying to solve the puzzle of the person. Right. So yeah, I love it. And I don't put somebody who's like, oh, I just want to run my first 5K. That is no different than someone who's, going after a 7-day adventure race, right? It's the fact that you've set a goal, you're motivated, and I get to be on that journey with you. So I'm quite fortunate in that way.
I love that. And I'm still planning to hire you as my coach. I know I keep saying that, but it will happen in the next few months. I think I needed some like summertime that was unstructured.
Totally. And that's important too, right? You've had a lot going on. And even in my coaching practice, a lot of my athletes have been with me for years and years, but I always encourage them to take an off season where they go off the structured program for that could look, 1 month to 3 months. And I say, just go be free of a program and have fun, play, keep your Training Peaks log up to date or don't, but just go enjoy that time. And then you're going to come back refreshed and ready to actually go towards your goals versus just trying to like rotate year after year after year. I mean, that has its place if your goal might be very long-term and very specific and you need that. But for most people, that ebb and flow is essential to coming back sharp and highly motivated. So I know for you, I'm very keen to see what your goals are because I know you were loving the trail running piece when we were out there, and it was very inspiring to hear you talk about sort of your solo experience that one day we had near the river on the trails by yourself. And I hope that was a big confidence booster for maybe what's to come for your goals.
Yeah, I think it was.
So pivoting a bit, I know you work with a lot of middle-aged women also, like the retreat and in your coaching, and a lot of our listeners are in that perimenopause, menopause phase of life. And so anything you can share with our listeners about how you can really work with your hormones, not against them, especially for women in that phase of life where it just seems like you're like up and down and your body isn't what it used to be?
Yeah, I think the first thing, well, sort of two things that really stand out when I look at that based on what I'm seeing in my own practice now. The first thing is removing comparison, because everybody really goes through perimenopause and that whole transitional time so different, right? So everybody's experience just looks so different, and trying to mimic what one person does to the other or what's effective versus what's not is just, it's so individual, right? So I think just realizing that this is going to be your own journey through this. And then the second thing is just taking things really slow and being consistent with whatever sort of new little measures you're putting into place to try to help yourself work through that phase of life, right? So it can get very overwhelming, right? There's a lot of research right now. There's a lot of social media channels with spitting out so much information, and everybody's trying to absorb everything very quick. It's an exciting time for sure in this space. And I love the research that's being done right now. Just like we've got specific female research happening, you know, and it's really cool. But I think also at the same time, it's like trying to do everything all of a sudden, all these new measures at one time can just get very overwhelming. Okay, so I eat this? Do I don't eat this? Do I sleep like this? Do I sauna? Do I take these supplements? Whatever. So just slowly and taking good notes. How long have you actually been trying something for? And that could be as basic as starting with sleep. For this month, 4 weeks, sleep is my number one thing. How do I feel? How is my body responding? And then you can start to layer in another element of something that's might, elevate how you're feeling and how you're moving through this time. So yeah, you guys are probably seeing that yourselves. There's a lot of information out there now.
Yeah. And I think there's so much information that people have to remember that it's actually important to tune into yourself and focus on what you're actually feeling and experiencing, and not just kind of absorbing what everyone's telling you you're feeling and experiencing.
Great point. I think that's exactly it. I think the more you can get in tune with yourself and just keeping good notes on exactly where you're at, that's going to help you just make decisions for yourself moving forward.
Yeah, so important. So you've obviously guided people through like tremendous physical challenges. What do you think separates the people that who achieve their goals, whatever they are, and it could just be doing their first 5K, to those who just get stuck? So many women, especially in midlife, also are just, they're feeling stuck in life. And so sometimes all the best intentions, like wanting to do whatever that is, maybe it's a half marathon or some sort of physical challenge, but just get stuck and just can't succeed with whatever their goal is. Because there's so much of a mental piece of this. And clearly you've sort of been able to figure that out for yourself, right? So just curious on how you coach your clients and what advice you would have for someone.
I see the most success come from people who are consistent, right? So that is week by week, month by month, right? Being consistent. And that usually comes from people who have carved out time in their schedule. They've got the support of their family, their work, whatever that looks like. And they say, this is my appointment time with myself. And I don't skip it, right? And I don't make excuses. And there is always things that can be done in that window, even if it's not the actual workout that was planned for, but that's still a time they've held for themselves, or maybe there's to pivot. Maybe they're having a bit of an off day. Maybe a run's not appropriate, but maybe a yoga session would work there, right? So it's that consistency piece that we see. And that's what I love about coaching is I'm like, here's the week, here's your next 2 weeks. This is what it looks like. This is how we're going to maximize your time, right? We are going to make each workout count. Everything has a purpose. We can remove junk from it, things that maybe don't serve you as much. And we can get really specific so that you are being very efficient with the time that you've got to commit towards this goal. And then it's something that's sustainable. We can do this week after week versus overloading somebody too much. They get one of the 6 sessions done, in the week, and then you're just not getting the progress, and you're constantly having to backtrack, right? Endurance goals, strength goals. We have to keep layering pieces on pieces, right? That's how we have to keep giving the body, a little stimulus it has to respond to in some capacity. And so the more we can be consistent with the big picture in mind, the more success that athlete's going to feel.
And I'm guessing people that are coming to you are pretty motivated. That would just be my guess. If they're hiring Jen Segger, they're motivated. They're paying you. They have a goal they want to accomplish, and they're probably more motivated type people. Am I assessing that right? Or
yeah, I think so for the most part. I think I've been fortunate through as my career has evolved, that I do attract people that I really enjoy working with and that are motivated. But, I am there to, I can't motivate somebody for them.
Right.
That's to get back to that goal piece. Like, this is your goal. I'm going to give you all the tools. I'm going to ask for communication. I love hearing from my athletes. Like, I'm here to support you. I believe that we are a team on this journey, right? So it's very rare now that I see some people who sort of flake off, or I'm like, where did they go? Like, what sort of happened, I understand life happens. I understand we get busy, that things happen. That's life. You work with someone for a year. I mean, we all go through it, right? I understand all that. I just asked for communication. How can I support you when your workload just like quadrupled, or we know it's coming, or it's a family vacation? Like, we can work around everything. Training towards a goal is meant to fit into your life. It is not meant to be this fearful thing that you just can't, like, that you're scared to do, you're unmotivated for. That's not the purpose of working with a coach and working towards a goal, in my opinion.
So I have a question around that. Do you have a favorite type of client or coaching you like to do? And do you yourself have a coach?
Yeah. So my biggest passion is in the endurance realm. So anything, if that's endurance goal where I get to really develop that person, if that's runners, adventure racers, mountain bikers, big mountain climbers, people with special projects, like month-long type projects, that's the stuff that I really love. And I think there's other coaches who they thrive in other, track coaches or whatnot. So I definitely have my niche of what I love to work in. And I personally do have a coach. I got a strength coach, even though I'm a strength coach myself. I have an incredible coach here that I work with. He programs out my strength. I see him twice a week. We work through all the little niggles and imbalances in my body too. I have them, right? I pushed my body so hard for 25-ish years. And I also just love being told, what to do so that I don't have to think. I get that external look. And I said that day one when we started working together, it's been a few years, but now I said, I'm going to be coachable. Like, I'm not here to question everything that you assign to me. I'm here because I want to learn and I want your professional expertise telling me what to do. And it's been an amazing relationship. Just, I love the sessions. I go today, coming up here soon. And I love that. I've also got like a team of sort of other people, I would say, acting as my sounding board, where we'll bounce ideas back and forth off of each other. And I'll be like, oh, what do you think of this? Or what do you think of this workout? Or, and I just love that. I love the perspective of some other coaches.
And I just want our listeners to hear that, because I think it's so important for people to realize that, like, everybody could use coaching in some capacity, right? I don't believe that we've ever arrived and we know everything about everything, and we don't need any external help or guidance. So.
Well, and I think sometimes people are like hesitant. I mean, Marnie and I are both health coaches. And it's like, sometimes it can be personal and you don't want to like be sharing all the information with everyone, but we all need coaches. I mean, I've always said that. Like, I've had various coaches for different things, or people that are helping me, and maybe it's just for a period of a few months or a few years. But in order to kind of progress and move on and do like we're all talking about, like we all like learning and new challenges, you need someone else that's maybe just a few steps ahead of you. And in the realm of like in the world we're living in now with AI, and yes, you can type into ChatGPT, create a 12-week plan for me to run a half marathon, or I don't know, I'm just making this up. And that's great. And that's a good starting point. But the human interaction and the accountability and meeting with someone online every couple of weeks. I mean, Marnie and I hired someone when we did the big Grand Canyon hike. It keeps you accountable. Like, I'm sorry, AI is just cannot replace a human coach, in my opinion.
Absolutely right.
It can provide you a lot of information. So it's like, everything you need to do, but then why aren't you doing it, right?
Exactly. And it's those small tweaks always ongoing. Like, you're seeing this is working, this isn't. How do I just make this fit? How do I, progress myself a little bit more? And, this world that we live in now, and we are all just, everything is online, and, we can go the whole day without like talking to somebody else in person. I mean, people need connection, right? And so I even found that for myself. Now that there was a point I owned a high performance training center sort of in Squamish, and it was great because I was with people daily. Now I am mainly just online. This is also why I host some of these retreats, why I guide in the mountains. Guiding for me is it's a passion project. Why I do that, I get out with people into an environment that I love to share a skill set that I have, but I just get that time with people, and I love it. So even though I only guide a few trips a year, that's there purely out of just my passion for being face to face with people.
Yes.
I feel like that's a good transition point to talk about some of these retreats and guiding. And, we did a whole episode on the Rebuild retreat, which was
312,
episode 312, if anyone's interested. And that retreat that you hosted with Emily Wise, who is on our podcast, episode 177, was amazing. And what inspired you to create that retreat? And I just want to say it was so transformative. It was amazing. And it feels like it was so long ago already.
It does. But, I just want to say too, I thought it was so amazing that you both came and your health coaches, but you still came to put yourself into that atmosphere, into that experience to learn. You guys had so much to share with everybody else. And that's what I just loved. We tried to create this atmosphere where people were able to share, they were able to listen, they were able to just be themselves, right? And I think that happens actually really well in small group format when people just get very comfortable. So I really appreciated you guys, making that trip out to Vancouver Island to be a part of it. So it was, gosh, it feels like a lifetime ago, but you're right. It was like 2 months ago. Of course, it was the first one that we've done. So it was extra special, but we just felt, I say we, Emily and I had just felt like, this is such an exciting time, like we just spoke about for women, for endurance, for moving through this time of our life. And we thought we'd just bring our skill sets together, her with the nutrition piece, hormones, mind, body side, and myself with the guiding, with the hard skills of the coaching, and try to offer just this immersive experience where with a small group that we could be out all day, we could keep the learning going, work on the trails, off the trails, and step out with some new skill sets, some new knowledge at the end when everybody returns back to their daily life with some new things to think about. So that was sort of our goal with it.
Well, you definitely achieved that. And Marnie and I both loved our new trail shoes that we bought and the hiking poles that we bought. I bought a coat. Like we found all these new products and brands when, you have all these individuals together sharing their favorite products and the food. My younger son has been enjoying some of the snacks that I brought back.
Oh, good.
Yeah, actually the overnight oats, I'm blanking on the name of the brand, Holos. I bought a bunch. Yes. I bought like a huge pack and brought them to Croatia with my family. And in the couple mornings that we had where we were like getting up early and out the door, I made them for all 5 of us. And they were ready to go in the morning. And we had them just like we did on the retreat. And then we went out on the day and no one was hangry. Like it was great.
I need to buy those.
Yeah. So I bought like a huge multi-pack of them. And now I just have them. And they're great for travel.
They are so good, aren't they? And yeah, we thought that would just be a great way to kickstart the day, right? Our days were full. I mean, if you guys remember, like, we were up early trying to get that breakfast in before we hit the trails, and then finishing up with fireside chats most nights of the week, getting pretty late. But, and it's funny, Emily and I struggled to find that balance where we're also like, okay, we really want these women to be able to like have proper sleep, like they're away from their families, their time, like, rest and reset too. And it's like, how do we fit everything into the day versus, it's also like, oh, we could all be going to bed at 8 o'clock at night as well. And sleeping beside the ocean there. So yeah, it was a funny mix of trying to get everything we wanted to do crammed into that 1 week.
Okay, so continuing on with your retreat experiences that you offer, we knew right after we were in Vancouver, you were taking a different group on a very unique retreat type experience in Colombia. And Marnie and I followed you a bit on social media, and we want to hear more because both of us are very intrigued by it. You shared with us on the trail what you were going to do, but now having gone on this experience, and I think it was your first one. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, that was actually the second one down to Colombia. So I have been guiding for a company called Terra, and they are offering a very unique, I'm not really seeing anybody else sort of offer this sort of experience where it's different from myself, say, guiding the mountains, where I'm the guide and I'm just taking people on an adventure. You get to follow along, be in the mountains, and that's wonderful. This experience that they put together down in Colombia is very much like this authentic way to experience the culture, meet the people while sort of being on an expedition. So we start in luxury, it's fantastic, out of Medellin in a beautiful boutique hotel with great food and great coffee. I mean, the coffee down there, just for all the coffee lovers. It's so good, right? But then from there, we leave that behind and we set out on a 4-day trek run where we were working our way from village to village to village. And through that, we were going through the mountains. I was teaching navigation skills to those who had an interest in it. We were experiencing the roller coaster of emotions and the weather and the fatigue and all the things that come with a big day on the trail. And yet it was supported. So we had some incredible aid stations set up and places where we could refill and have incredible fruit and, coffee on the way on these, and some really, really cool experiences that sort of happen as we make our way into the next town. And then from there, people, very basic accommodations, because that's all that's available in some of these little villages. But you're seeing, the raw remote countryside in the mountains of Colombia as it really is. It's not curated. It's just, this is what you're seeing, and you're meeting locals there. And with our support team, everyone's interacting. And then the next day we set out and we do it again. And we did this for 4 days, and until we reached a beautiful eco resort as the final destination. So then again, back to like just some beautiful, lush relaxation, luxury. It was really nice. So what a way to see Colombia. And they're going to be offering these in other parts of the world down the road as well. But for me personally, like, I can't think of a better way. Like when I go on a trip or a holiday, like, I want to see really what the locals are doing. And I'm not one for cities. That's just not my comfort area, right? I'm a mountain person, and through adventure racing, I love to see external and then how people live. So how they are offering this is so cool. I mean, you just see so much more than Medellin, right? Than the big city. You get out there, and for the person who loves to run, trek, and just move, but free of competition. We feel like we're a team moving. Like you kind of feel like an adventure racing team. The owner of Terra Venture is one of my venture racing teammates. We've raced all over the world together. So him and his wife have put this together. So you feel like a team. You're working together as a team, but there's no competition. You're not racing, and yet the days are so full. So hopefully that gives a bit of a recap on what that experience is.
Yes, I really want to do this.
Yeah, me too. When are you going again?
Yes.
Do you know? Do you have dates for you personally?
Yeah, 2027 dates will be up soon. It will be in early spring. I believe will be the next one that I will be on down there. So
yes,
you guys would thrive on this. Now that I know you guys, and and you're, you guys would do incredible on it. Yeah, Colombia is on your list as a place to see. I think you would just love it.
So I'm curious what the level of person that goes on a expedition like this is. Like, I'm assuming you can't just, having never been a hiker or whatever, like, how do you figure that out?
Yeah, so this is what's also very unique about this is we have a support crew. So we've got we've got a medic, we've got drivers and whatnot. So people can actually opt in and out at different times throughout the day. So let's say they're just absolutely fatiguing. We had, one gentleman, he was not a runner at all. And, he had not done, he knew his boundaries. He's like, I'd like to just trek for a couple hours a day and then I'm good. And so he would start, and then he would, hop in one of our support vehicles, and he'd actually go off and have a great rest of the day with our crew and seeing Colombia in a totally different way. Super good with that. And so, yeah, there's just that opportunity to come in and out. Now, some people are on this last trip I coach, so they had been preparing to be able to do big days. Like they wanted to be able to check the box on every day and be able to move well and eight-ish hours on their feet. Again, we're not talking about going like speed hiking, like speed running or anything, but it's just being able to move, feel comfortable, really getting ready for the hills. And so with some good preparation, just like we prepare for any mountain event or whatnot, we slowly can build that up through time and get yourself ready. Because the more fit you are and the more ready you are for the hills, Colombia is a very hilly country, the more you're going to just enjoy the experience versus suffer your way through it, right? So,
and we know what your speed is like. You're fast.
You're fast.
Your hiking speed is fast, I would say, for the average person.
Yes, but that's not probably how we move. Some of that terrain does not allow for speed hiking. We're on all these old mule trails, like these trails that have been around like since the beginning of time, like really cool history that we go through. Sometimes you just cannot move fast, and if it rains there, like you really can't move fast. You get everything. So yeah, it's really for the adventurous person, and yeah, if you just have a desire to travel that way and be fit out there, and you thrive in that environment.
Sounds amazing.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's very nice just to know you've got that great support around you, right? And I think that's too what I love. Even I work with people who are training for races and these competitive goals, or where you're on a start line when someone has to say go and you either complete it or you don't. I think it's really neat to take your fitness and adventurous spirit and be able to apply it in a completely different way, right? We don't always have to be racing, right? There's so many more ways to like challenge ourselves.
Exactly. And we interviewed a young woman this morning, and she talked about this 7 or 10 day silent meditation retreat she did in Thailand. And that's a way to challenge yourself in a very different way, right? So to your point about like goals and things like that, I mean, for someone who's on the go and so physical like you, and Marnie and I like to be active as well, that scares me more than doing this adventure, in Colombia.
Oh, Stephanie, I have heard of people doing those, and I'm with you. Like, that terrifies me. I know people do them, and yet, so maybe that's where the growth is for all three of us, right? In something like that.
I don't think my body could take it, to be honest with you. Like the sitting, like I just don't think my body could do it.
I know. I would wonder too. I wonder if you're allowed to like walk and not talk.
You can. She did walking retreats or walking meditation.
But she said the walking is like the slowest walking. It doesn't even feel like you're walking, which that might be hard too.
Well, it must be a skill set. It must be about like,
yes,
down regulating your nervous system and things that we so need. And isn't it true that the things that we fear the most are probably the things that we need the most?
Yes.
100%.
So I do appreciate that. And maybe that's today's learning for all three of us, right? Is to explore those areas.
I'm just remembering something. When I first signed up for your retreat, I have a friend, Sarah, if you're listening out there, and she was like, but what about doing like a meditation silent retreat? Seems like that's maybe more what you need, because she knows I'm going to push myself physically, and I gravitate towards that. And she's so right. And it just gets to your comment that you just made. So I need to find a way to incorporate both into my next year as far as when I'm doing my goal planning and setting. So
absolutely. I mean, I'll even add to that right now, we're working on some things with our son, and we are trying to commit at night 5 minutes of breath work, right? And even though we're doing it for him, both my partner and I are just like, oh, we need this too, right? And that's just starting small. We build on it. Where is it going to take us? I don't know, but 5 minutes. I mean, we all have 5 minutes, right? And that's just that. Yeah. So maybe that will lead to meditation one day.
We do.
We'll see.
And I love that you're doing that together. And I remember you told us on the retreat that you and your husband do have a 10-minute yoga practice you guys do together, I think in the morning maybe. And I that still like sticks out in my mind when my husband and I are just like, what are we going to do now?
I know it's those small things, right? Versus being like, well, we have to go to an hour-long yoga class when, yoga is not my passion to do that. However, I understand the benefits and stuff, but it wasn't working for me to commit, 30 minutes of driving, an hour class, time you're done, you're home. If you're into this yoga for 2.5, 3 hours, when I would rather be on the trail. That's meditative to me and outside. Okay. And everyone each to their own, which I think is awesome. But we're like 10 minutes, like we have 10 minutes, and even better, we do it together. So it has worked, and it's been years now. We've stuck to it.
Well, I have yoga with Adrian or whatever on one of my browsers ever since the retreat. It's up there. And
have you done it, Stephanie?
I did one time. I did. And then, but I want to do it with I would love to find a routine, get into the rhythm. I'm not in the rhythm, but I did do it once, and it's up on a browser. So it will get incorporated.
That's a great start.
So yes, I'm starting.
Totally.
So what's one thing our listener, and let's say she's a middle-aged woman, can do this week to build more confidence, build more resiliency, and just that momentum towards a goal, whatever it is for them? I mean, it may just be doing 5 minutes of breath work a day.
I'd say a great starting point is just to take a few minutes for yourself to think about what it is that really speaks to you. Where do you want to grow? Making sure that it's your goal, your area of interest, or something you want to explore. And just being very realistic about that. And then start to build on how much time is realistic? What do I have? Starting small, even if you're jumping at the gun to get going and you're so excited, right? We know that goals are reached with just small steps at a time. Right? I mean, you don't have to say, I'm so excited, I just can't wait to lift more weights in the gym. I'm going to start going 6 days a week. But then you don't get there 6 days, and that feels like a failure. So starting with something that's realistic, that you can keep the excitement up and the stoke up, and then you can just slowly build from there.
And that's with any goal. I mean, that's great advice. And as we wrap up, we've heard a little bit about your passions, the pilot, the flying and the coffee, but what is lighting you up right now? And why do we want to have things that are lighting us up?
Right now, with no major race looming at me, I'm just excited for just some outdoor projects. I've just got certainly some trails, some mountains, and things that I'd really like to get done. So that's kind of where I think my interest is in that regard. But at the same point, I don't actually have a plan on how that's all going to fit in exactly in this year. So I haven't set any actual dates on the things that I want to do. I'm just sort of going with the flow. I know I'll get to them at some point, but I don't actually have it on a calendar with a set date, because I'm just sort of listening to my body, seeing how things are going. There's just a couple little niggles and whatnot that I want to make sure are taken care of before I push myself further. So I'm sort of actually just enjoying this process right now of really, working on my weaknesses, my areas of imbalance, and I'll sort of see how it unfolds down the road over the next few months. The mountains are clearing of snow right now, and hopefully, September is usually my favorite time to be in the mountains anyway. So I have time, and I'm just trying to relieve myself of all pressure.
Amazing.
Yes.
Yeah, that's sort of where I'm sitting, I think, and it's exciting because so many athletes I work with are in goal mode right now for a race, right? Summer, as we know, is just like heavy on the race scene or whatnot. And I'm just enjoying that process with them. I get so excited. Weekends are busy. Sunday nights, it's everybody emailing in. I love it. So I'm definitely getting that side where I've got that excitement for things like that. But for me, that's not what's aligning at the moment. And if I want to have longevity for many years to come, which is my goal, I need to take care of the small things that are currently presenting themselves with my body and things. So patience.
That is honestly the most amazing advice, probably even more so than what you just shared a few minutes ago. So Jen, where can people find you? Learn more, follow along with your adventures, learn about coaching, the retreats, all the things.
Yeah, kind of just one name, Jen Segger. It's on Instagram. It's also my website name, just jensegger.com. And fire me a message. I've got a form you can fill out on the website if you've got a question or just want to connect. I do try to check in on social media. I have been, let's say, spending less time on social. I do check in, but I have given myself a little timer on that. But I will check the messages as well. So I love to hear from people. I just love to connect and share with what you're doing. And I just encouraging everybody to get out there and living life to the fullest, whatever that looks like for them.
Amazing. And as we wrap up this conversation, what does the art of living well mean to you?
I think that I'd say it is living in the moment and just working on being the best version of yourself that you can be wherever you're at in your life. Celebrating the things that you're doing well, that resonate with you, where you're growing, and looking at the areas of your life that could use some added attention. So whether that's, areas of weakness or just parts of your life that you want to improve upon, spending some time and energy to elevate those things. None of us are walking around here perfect, right? We are our own individual creatures, and we all have so much to learn from one another. So I absolutely love, ever since meeting you guys and coming across your podcast, you brought on so many cool guests with so much to share. And so, props to you guys for what you're doing, for this space, for this community, for elevating people and growth. It's very cool. And so I look forward to more episodes as you guys release them.
Thank you.
Well, thank you. And we look forward to seeing you on the trail somewhere, location TBD. And it's just been so fun to reconnect since Vancouver Island.
Well, great to see you guys. Thank you for having me. And yes, until the next time when we are sharing the great outdoors together.
Hopefully in person, right?
100%.
So before we wrap up, we'd love to hear from you. What's one goal, adventure, challenge, or dream that you've been putting off because you thought you were too busy, too old, or the timing wasn't right? Send us a DM on Instagram or reply to our Substack newsletter and tell us. What's one challenge you're ready to say yes to in this season of life? Remember, living well isn't about playing small. It's about continuing to grow, explore, and challenge yourself in ways that bring you purpose, joy, and vitality. And if you've been feeling sluggish, bloated, inflamed, foggy, or just not like yourself, our Vitality Reboot Anytime is a simple way to give your body the reset it's been craving. You can do it on your own schedule with support from Marnie and me along the way. We'll link that all up in the show notes. Thanks for being here, and we'll see you next time on the Art of Living Well podcast.
Thank you for tuning in to the Art of Living Well podcast. If today's episode inspired you, please subscribe, share, and leave us a review. It helps more people discover our show.
And if you're ready to take your health and happiness to the next level, we would love to support you. Whether it's through our transformative group programs, personalized coaching, or functional medicine lab testing, we help uncover the root causes of your health challenges and unlock your vitality.
Visit www.theartoflivingwell.us to learn more and book a free discovery call. Until next time, keep creating your art of living well.